2, 1. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. We got a very special guest today. Somebody who I watch pretty much like every day now. I mean, you're like a part of my little routine. Ladies and gentlemen, Emma.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Wipe your ass with them.
Thank you very much. It's a long time coming. I know you've had a few MR people on, right?
Have I? I've been trying to get your whole crew on, but you guys are too busy and too cool,
Oh, too big time.
Too big time. It's pretty sick. A small fish, we get no respect around here. But yeah, Emma, thanks for doing this. I got a bunch of questions for you. So let's not waste any time.
Sure.
So you're I think you do a really good job at like every day. You're doing you're keeping up with things and you're doing like very serious analysis that I think helps a lot of people understand what's going on. Kind of a deeper level. So I wanted to try to get something that maybe I haven't been following as closely that maybe you know about. What's going on with Jonah Hill? What happened? He won a surf competition or something? A shark bit him? He's surfing. Yeah. This is what I think this is what it is. He was surfing and a shark bit him on the beard or something. What's going on with him?
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny, my best friend is a therapist, a psychologist, and I texted her about it. I was like, "Do you know about this?" And she was like, "No." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm too online. That's the problem." And I just wanted to get her opinion, and we just had a small back and forth about like the weaponization of therapy speak for misogynistic purposes.
Right.
And it really is a fascinating kind of, I think, fairly millennial Gen Z phenomenon where there's this whole, I think, emphasis on self-reflection and on mental health. Like, if I hear mental health awareness one more time, I'm just gonna, lose that. My mental health is gonna deteriorate.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's largely a good thing, but the problem that, I think Matt Leck and I have talked about this in the Majority Report before is I'm capped out on awareness. I want everybody to have access through a socialized healthcare system. We have enough awareness, time for access. And the problem is that I think therapy is so much easier for wealthy people to access. And in this instance, like based on what I saw, it's fascinating to see how they went to couples therapy and like the suggestion I saw in some of the screenshots that the therapist made to her, according to her, was like to paddle away if there were any men near her surfing to make Jonah feel comfortable. And it just like the light bulb kind of went off in my head, and it's like, oh, that's a class dynamic within their couples therapy,
right? Which
is that he's a famous guy, he's a rich guy, she's a surf instructor, right? Based on what I know.
Mm-hmm.
And so the therapist is going to want to keep the powerful client happy.
Right.
The therapist is going to want to continue that client relationship when he's with the next person or when he's with, or even on his own. And so that one thing stuck out to me. And then also, it's like,
I never even thought of that. Of course, if you have a if you have a client who can pay you hundreds of dollars an hour, consistently, you're going to be really aware of, I don't want to scare this guy off constantly.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's one observation I had. And then the other one was, just that generic thing where it's like, it's good that men are more in touch with their feelings, right? But there has to be, I think there needs to be another level where a therapy is there to validate your emotions and give you like the opportunity to explore them. But some of emotions don't need to be validated. Like some emotions are shitty. Like the emotion that you feel that you want your girlfriend not to be able to post photos of her doing her job on the internet, that's just misogyny, and your feelings resulting from that are not valid. I'm sorry. Like, and so there's this kind of, I think, tension there that's at least interesting from like a it'll be interesting from an anthropological perspective in 100 years or something like that.
Absolutely. No, I love the material side to it, of like that therapists are part of this. They can't escape the system that we're part of, and the rules that we're subject to within it. You know, that's fascinating. But like, what is it though? And I know, like, I feel a little voyeuristic with some of this stuff, like, you know, with some,
Yeah.
it's unavoidable, and it's a way into like deeper conversations about people's personal, you know, lives and how we interact with each other in the world. So I get that too. But like, what is it like when you see a story like this, somebody like this, you're like, on paper he has everything, you know, like, how could you be this? Is it insecurity? Like, how could you be this insecure? Part of me was like, you know, sometimes if you really are obsessed with someone, you'll do crazy. Like, what do you think it is? Well, where do you think this kind of stuff comes from?
I mean, I really do think it's insecurity, right?
Yeah.
And it's also misogyny in the fact that it's difficult for him to fathom that her photos or her wanting to look good is for her,
Right.
and not for other men.
Right.
Like, that's in the end misogyny, which is that women are there to titillate or please men through their bodies or through their image, as opposed to, maybe I just want to wear this because I feel like I look good. Like, I'm probably one of the less, you know, interesting people to talk about this with, because I'm pretty uninterested in fashion and clothes and you know, showing
Surfing.
off my body on Instagram or whatever. It's just like that kind of thing is just not. I've always, even going back to high school and stuff like that, it's just where I get my confidence is talking, as opposed to how I may look or whatever in a certain photo. That's not to say that other people don't find that validating, but it's a little foreign to me in some ways. But yeah, everyone wants to look good, not to be too pretentious about it. But yeah, I mean, like, I think he couldn't even fathom the idea that she might just want to post that because she likes how she looks and it's good for her, as opposed to it being for the male gaze. And like, I know, because I'm a fan of his work. I've always liked Jonah Hill, that he's been talking about body positivity a lot, but it's just so fascinating how that applies only to him. And then when his significant other wants to be positive about her body and show it in a way, his interpretation is that it's inherently sexual and for other men. And that is just misogyny. That's basically it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of misogyny, you know, to quote one of our great public intellectuals, Andrew Tate, seems a bit matrixy. You know, it's like the matrix part of like a lot of misogyny is probably operating in the background. You know, you have like the Engels analysis of this kind of stuff, of like the nuclear family and like the you know, paternalism and all this kind of stuff. A lot of that stuff's operating in the background, right? And also then you have the kind of matrixy thing of that the therapist is not gonna lead you out of that, which should be what a therapist does, is to kind of like reveal this stuff to you, and then you walk through and come out of it together or something like that. It's actually gonna like put you more into that. So I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I think this is just an interesting. I've said interesting 400 times, but it's something I've observed in like watching Real Housewives. Like, there's this one housewife, Yolanda Hadid. Okay.
Oh, love her. Shout out to Yolanda. I'm just kidding.
Shout out to Yolanda, mother of the Hadid models. At one point, she has Lyme disease, and like, it's a 2-season long storyline that she won't get out of bed. She's taking closetfuls full of supplements every single day, these natural oils and blah blah, and she still feels badly. In the end, she still thinks it's her Lyme disease, but like, she has to get her implants removed because they're leaking into her body, and she gets them removed. And like,
you know, I've never watched this show, but now I could totally see the attraction. Just this chaos, this drama. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
And you also kind of love them for some reason too. Like, you start to empathize with them. But for her, it's like, okay, but she just had a doctor that's a homeopathic remedy doctor who essentially knew she had unlimited resources and was gonna give her every single supplement in that person's Rolodex until she went to another doctor and found out it was her implant. And I feel like there is an incentive that is, we're not talking big pharma or doctors in general, but for doctors of very wealthy people, they are also in the business of telling them what they want to hear in some instances. And that's a little bit of what I saw from the outside in this, like, you know, little gossipy phenomenon that I followed a little bit with Jonah Hill.
Yeah, absolutely. That is so funny. I mean, it is like, yeah, if you're famous enough and rich enough that people are just gonna try to it's like the sort of like entourage thing. They're just gonna try to keep you around, you know?
Yeah.
It's a crazy, not very healthy relationship on the whole.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, we're touching on the serious stuff here but today. I got another serious one. I don't know if you saw that video. I fall for all the crap that, like, you know, like that goes viral on the internet. A lot of it I just fall for. I go right down the rabbit hole with it. And the one that I'm like, you know, that I got obsessed with was that lady on the plane who's like, that motherfucker back there is not real. Have you seen that video?
I did. I don't think I finished it because I was cringing so hard, and it was one of those moments where I was like, I don't want to finish this. But I'm seeing everyone's memeing it, and now I feel like I'm out of the zeitgeist.
Well, that's part of what I wanted to ask you. Maybe this could be like a little road into something bigger, but yeah, so it's just a lady, she's having some kind of a meltdown on a plane, you know, and it's pretty cringy, you know, but people have really, like, people are creating their own little narratives out of it, their own little fan fiction out of it. And there's like one guy who says he's on the plane and that there is a guy who has reptilian eyes who winked at him, and then there's a lady who says she's on the plane, but like nobody really believes each other. And it's sort of like, it's a little bit of this, like, this reflection of America in a weird way, not to be fancy about it, but it is a little bit of a reflection of like paranoia and people all living in their own little stories and no one really being able to work together on it. Okay. I don't know, like what do you think about that kind of stuff? Do you think like people are just living completely in their own realities, or what's going on with this?
Well, related to this video, I can't say, but I mean, I do think it is shocking when you sit down and have conversations with people about even simple topics. There's of course a immense positive to the internet. I think it's much more positive than negative in terms of like information access and the ability for people to communicate cross borders. We wouldn't have, I think, a lot of, say, honestly, just images from what we're seeing right now in Jenin and in the West Bank, with what Israel is doing in terms of ethnic cleansing there. And it's just, you can't talk about Israel-Palestine as a 50-50 proposition at this point, with two actors who are just, you know, in conflict with one another. It's just some sort of equal war. And then you see the images of a bulldozer just ravaging a town, or we connected today on the show with a Palestinian reporter who talked about how his hometown was just completely leveled, and they tear gassed an elementary school, and then when the kids ran out, they destroyed it and like destroyed their books within it. And we have images and footage of that because of the internet. So that's a long way of saying it's overall a positive for information.
Absolutely.
When you become ideological, it's really easy to silo yourself.
Oh yeah.
So just to bring it back to like the more macro point there, it that is when people live in certain realities. I have a friend that listens to Joe Rogan a lot, you know, old friend, and we don't agree on politics. And just sometimes when, you know, I hear something that they say, I blink and I don't even fully comprehend what's happening,
Right.
and I have to get it explained to me, and then we're able to kind of build some sort of foundation. But the information that's being consumed there, or whatever is being consumed there, is totally disconnected from general reality. And so I guess those are the silos I'm talking about, at least.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you able to, okay, going into kind of therapy kind of stuff here. Are you able to like have empathy for that kind of thing? Because a lot of people have like family members who go down this rabbit hole, or they
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
They go the Joe Rogan hole is pretty easy to go down, and sometimes I don't know. I even watch Joe Rogan, and I'm just like, yeah, like he's probably watching like a lot of Fox News or something like that, and it just seems plausible to him. A lot of this stuff just seems like it feels right, or it feels like he's getting this from some kind of authority or something. I don't know. I have empathy for
Well,
that.
I have a much different standard for Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
who I have zero empathy for, than I do for the people consuming the content. And
Right.
like the guy made up that kitty litter thing a few months ago. He said that he had a friend whose wife, or who had a friend that worked in a school that saw that they were putting litter boxes out for kids because they're identifying as cats.
If it's a friend of a friend of a you know, oh, my cousin's friend's friend, then
Yeah.
the story, you know, it's like a copy of a copy kind of thing happening.
But he said it as a first person anecdote. So that to me, or not first person at least, but like an anecdote in terms of like
Somebody told
someone
him.
he had a connection.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no fucking chance, right? Like no chance.
Yeah.
And that means he's a liar.
Yes.
You know, that's him actively lying.
Right.
And so for me, I don't have any empathy for that. And I sometimes, you know, think that the assessment of him as just like an idiot who believes anything that comes his way is too charitable. But in terms of people consuming things, you have to have faith, and there are a lot of bad, like racist people. I totally understand that, and some people are just going to be too far gone, and they have been propagandized to the point of no return, or they have authoritarian tendencies. That there's always going to be that kind of segment of the population. It's all about marginalizing their political power. That's what the project should be. But there will always be those kinds of people. But for people that just are not aware, I mean, you have to have faith that they can be changed. That's part of why I did this Tim Pool thing, where I went in there with the intention of not being asked back, and not in a way that I wanted to like go kamikaze, but just the people that get asked back are the people that play patty cakes and that don't directly challenge the right's assumptions and their conjecture and their framing. And I went in there saying, I'm going to basically challenge everything that I can and try to land as many blows as I can, because hopefully someone, a diehard Tim Pool fan, or a few, or someone who come across as the video, like, it might not work right away, but it might plant some seed of doubt in their mind that opens them up to watching other things in the future. And so you have to kind of believe that people are going to be able to be converted if you're in this business. At least that's my philosophy.
Yeah, totally. So everybody, you know, all the people who watch my channel, a bunch of them had questions about the Tim Pool thing. I think, you know, I think we know, like, we kind of get it. We kind of get it. And it was really good. You did a really good job. And it's sort of like, I don't know, if you watch his content, I think it's pretty obvious that it's very bad faith. You know, it's not even like propaganda might be giving it too much. It's almost like clicks and money driven confirmation of what people who watch it already believe, or something. It just seems like a money making thing to me. But but yeah, he does get a lot of views. And yeah, I don't know. I think you did a really good job. But what I was curious about, yeah, totally. And and you know what's funny too is that he always has to have like backup on his shows. It's always like one opposing viewpoint, and then like 20 people from like post millennial or whatever are there to.
I know, but it kind of the fun part was that it kind of backfired on him at the end, when he was saying things like treaties should be able to be scrapped based on the fact that I wasn't alive during that time.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why we should not defend Ukraine. And his buddy, I'm sorry, I forget his name, but the other guest was like, what ended up being on my side at that point. And
oh, there we go.
yeah, that was fun. That was fun because we at the very end, it was an odd team up against him. But for the most part, it was like he conceded the point at the end too. I think one of the last things he said was, it was 2 versus 1. And then I'm like, you call yourself though a moderate libertarian. I mean, he lets the mask slip on occasion, but he still attempts to maintain this fiction that he is a moderate or in the center of the political spectrum, because that is the, for anybody watching this, that should be an immediate red flag to you. Because specifically for right-wing influencers, that is how there are really 2 avenues that people use to break into the space without just being in the traditional conservative pipeline. It's Why I Left the Left, Dave Rubin, Brett Weinstein, all of those guys. They all monetize their purported leftist bona fides and then made it so like, well, the left left me. What do you know? I mean, they've just gone insane. That's incredibly lucrative. And then the other one is just pretending, and even Tim, by the way, because he used his Occupy background for that purpose. But it is to present yourself as a moderate or as a liberal, like Dave Rubin did for a while. Because when you say that you're the true center, it makes your right-wing audience feel like, hey, I kind of agree with this, so I'm a moderate, as opposed to just like, I don't think trans people really exist, so I'm a right-winger at this point, right? It makes them feel better about their far-right positions. And then for the really, really far-right people too, then they feel like, oh, well, yeah, maybe me believing in great replacement theory is actually kind of viable because it's not too far from what this guy's saying. So that's just something for people to look out for. That's how reactionaries operate and make money on the internet.
I feel like, maybe we should talk about Dave Rubin really quick because he's a Majority Report. He's a Majority Report classic. But I meant to send this to you. I found this video of him on Fresh and Fit, where I get my news, Fresh and Fit. And he's talking about how when he lived in LA, he would go to restaurants that required proof of vaccine, and he would go up to people and say, by the way, it's fake. It's not real. I didn't really I got somebody to counterfeit this thing. Is that the weird
badass?
But I think he's bullshitting. I think if that's true, if any of that story is true, he wandered up to these people because he knew maybe he recognized they might be fans, and he did get vaccinated, and he felt like he had to explain himself or something.
I totally agree with you. I think that's true. These guys are immensely cynical, and women. I mean,
yeah, sure.
But just take Tim Pool for example, right? Mm-hmm. He called me a pedophile. He put words in my mouth
we got to talk
that
about
I didn't
that.
say. Yeah, we will. But he called me a freaking pedophile, but he wanted me to hang out. Like he wanted to vibe and chill and like that just shows you how they are willing to say anything on camera.
Yes.
For money, for what they think their audience wants. But he let it slip because he's not that bright. He let it slip that he still wanted to hang out after. Why do you hang out with someone you think is a pedophile?
Well, Emma,
why do you want to do that, buddy?
maybe you didn't consider, there's that new Sound of Freedom movie, that Jim Caviezel movie. Maybe he was trying to like do an undercover operation to catch you, Yeah.
You're right. You're right. But then, I mean, he could have played the long game and not called me a pedophile. And then maybe he could have.
Well, he blew his cover.
His way in.
He blew his cover on that one.
Yeah.
But one of the interesting things that people, were sending me to ask you is we kind of know the details of all that. It's bizarre to do that, to accuse somebody of something like that. I mean, and plus, like, it's probably like the worst crime. It's the worst thing like a human can do, basically. And you're just
Yeah.
like throwing this around like it's a social media, like it's a meme or something. But what I wanted to ask is, like, do you, I don't know. It seems like a lot to deal with. How do you, this is literally what people want to know. How do you deal with something like that? Was it upsetting? Did it put you through some shit, or were you able to roll with it?
I mean, I rolled with it for the most part.
Yeah.
It's, I won't lie and say that it doesn't, when you hear the words like Emma Vigeland wants to, and this was what he said, like, have sex with children.
Yeah.
You panic slightly because the internet is forever, and I want to have kids one day, and like, I don't know, hopefully there will probably be so much content on the internet that you don't even have to go down that road. But you panic slightly, and it's like just hard to hear those words because it's obviously insane. Yeah. But the thing about why I feel like I'm honestly kind of once again therapy session here, I feel a little bit like I'm coming into my own in this job is just because I have such an amazing support system at work. Like, Sam and Matt and Bradley, we're just such a really tight team. And Sam in particular is like amazing at thinking strategically. And he just was really good at just being like, it's so ridiculous. This is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
We'll respond to it. And that's that. And because I didn't even know if I wanted to respond to it. I was like, honestly, I don't want to give this more oxygen. But Sam was like, no, we cut this off under, like, and then we leave it be.
Yeah.
We cut it off, cut its legs out from under it. And in the end, I think that was the right play. Like, if we hadn't addressed it, it could have snowballed, right? And so, but it was just, it was, in the end, I was so kind of tickled by it now. Now I'm happy about it to a degree, because it showed how humiliated he was. He really had nothing else. He had nothing else to clip or come away from that debate. I mean, I messed up a few times. Like, I think whole thing that it made him say whoopsie. He had called it a psyop, not a false flag. I made that mistake. I should have been familiar with the DSM-4 thing that he brought up. There's some things I wish I did differently, but overall, I think I really did humiliate him a little bit, and that was all he had left. Whereas I felt like I could have done a whole stream where I broke down many of these moments where he kind of tied himself up into a pretzel. So that's the long of it, because I did not go short in that explanation. Sorry.
No, absolutely. And I think you're right with the sort of, you had a very specific mission there, because I love hearing people, talk through things and like try to figure things out, and like, go try to come to some agreement on important things in the world and in life. But like, it's just not that. It's not that at all. It's like he has a very specific agenda. You can kind of tell that when he needs other people to help him own his guest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what it is, and that's why I think, like, Sam and other people online, like, I don't know, don't feel bad just like making fun of him, because it's ridiculous. I mean, it's
well, and that's the thing is it's not personal. I don't know. I mean, he takes it very personally, but
yeah.
I've met God, I'm trying to think of people that I met when I was on the road, like with TYT, who were politicians. But you know who I met one time? This is like a weird, it's not a political one, but it's just a small micro one. I met Andrea Mitchell, right? You know, from MSNBC in the bathroom one time at an event,
Wow.
like a campaign event. It was I think it was in Iowa, like right before that primary. It was Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren, a rally or something I was covering, and she was lovely. Like married to Alan Greenspan, I'm sure we'd have nothing in common, but she was lovely to me, chatted with me, like, but at the same time, would that ever stop me from criticizing her if she had some kind of neoliberal
good
take?
point.
Absolutely not, right?
Sure, yeah.
And there are other, I met Boris Epstein one time, you know, he's a Trump guy, one of the closest people to Trump. I met him at a debate. He was very polite and lovely, but he's would that stop me from criticizing him on air? Like,
no.
There are so many. It's not personal. It's about what you put out into the world. That is what we are criticizing. And so, you know, I think we're very intentional about that and trying to get into people's algorithms. And this isn't a fucking sorority. This is in high school.
Yeah.
It's about politics, and we're debating you on the issues. So.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. So, you know, you're going to be dealing with people of different maturity levels. And if somebody feels really like their feelings are hurt, not talking about anybody specific here, they're going to say insane things to try to make themselves feel better, probably. Okay, let me see. I got a few more stupid questions here. I don't know why I put this question down. Should eating on a stream into the mic be illegal? What do you think about that? Yes. Right? You have that thing. You have that. Yeah, mute yourself. I don't want to hear the whole. I don't want to hear the whole details of like chicken wings.
I mean, as I'm drinking this water, I am so conscious of making sure my sip is as quiet as possible.
Me too.
No one listen.
Me too. Absolutely. Yeah, there needs to be like get like a dump button or whatever, an eating button. Oh, you know what I wanted to ask you about? You know, I'm not a New Yorker. I live in Texas, but Eric Adams seems to be insane, right? Is he insane? He's insane, right?
He's totally nuts. I mean, he's a pathological liar.
Yeah.
And honestly, just big city politics are such a mess. It's all crime related. All of these, at least New York City is behind the times. Like Karen Bass is a little bit better in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Brandon Johnson now in Chicago. So that stuff is improving. But Eric Adams is like a throwback. I mean, he's closer to Giuliani than he is to de Blasio.
Yeah.
But those two guys are Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's I don't think he's done really anything positive for the city. De Blasio at least did universal childcare. What can any New Yorker name that Eric Adams has done except lie and embarrass himself and get caught saying, I live here, but I don't live here, or, oh, I keep this photo of this slain cop in my wallet. Just kidding. His staff had to make it look old and like drain it in tea, like he was doing some sort of project about the Declaration of Independence when he was in seventh grade, and put it in his wallet. He's a total nut job, and in any sane kind of spectrum of politics, he would not be on the lefter side.
Yeah,
but it's just
also
you have to kiss the ring of the NYPD or you don't get anywhere.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And but also, like, you know, I would guess probably one of the top most important issues for the average person living in New York is like tenants' rights stuff, right? Like that's got to be toward the top, like obviously. And and look, I watched that video of him accusing that lady of being like a racist or whatever. Because she was like a tenants' rights organizer or something, right?
Yeah.
That, I feel like that's so, even though it's a sensational spectacle moment, it's like pretty revealing about what your approach is going to be toward your position of power in the city, right?
Yeah, and I mean, under his watch, rents went up everywhere, but there was no effort really for rent control. He on his transition team as mayor had some of the biggest real estate developers on the transition team, including one of the slumlords that was like responsible for that massive fire. I believe it was in the Bronx, might have been in Queens. Forgive me, I don't remember. But But yeah, I mean, it's like it just check, in bed with the police union, in bed with the NYPD, check, in bed with real estate developers and landlords, check, more interested in celebrity than in actually doing anything is fair. It's just
Right.
like lots of stereotypes about
Yeah.
New York City mayor. He already has all of them, and I don't know if he has a ton of popular support, to be honest.
Right.
So I think like hopefully there's some campaign coalescing behind one candidate, because the reason he got elected, and I'll shut up in a second, but was because the left was like really focused on Andrew Yang, if you remember at the time.
Oh yeah. Right.
And he was laying in the weeds, kind of appealing to black and non-white, older, more conservative Democrat voters in the Bronx and in Brooklyn, and that carried him through. And the left only coalesced behind one person, Maya Wiley, way too late. So it needs to be much more strategic for the left next time around the mayoral race.
For sure.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat asks, "What does Sam Cedar smell like?" I don't know if you want to address that.
I don't know, because Sam doesn't like to. We're not very near each other all the time.
Right.
He's not, I would say, affectionate. Like I don't even know if we've ever shaken hands. But Sam doesn't like any scent. So everything.
Right. I think I've heard that on the show. Right.
He is like I used to wear hairspray to the office, or I used to bring my hairspray in when I first started, and I'd spray it in the bathroom, and he was like, "Please, just please do that at home."
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so he's really
anti-scent.
sensitive to smell, so anti-scent.
What's going on there? Maybe you maybe need to do some Jonah Hill style therapy sessions about what's going on with the scent thing.
I mean, to be honest, it's funny and endearing to me. And like, I have this deodorant that I use at the gym. It's like not my typical one. It's like when I go to the gym in the morning, it's one of the spray ones they leave for everybody there. He doesn't like that either. One time I came in, he was like, "What is that?" Like,
wow. There must be something more. Maybe there's some real sensitive
allergies.
Allergies.
Maybe he's allergic.
Yeah, allergic.
Yeah,
okay.
we'll go with that.
Okay, cool. Okay, last thing. Like, I kind of like, speaking of just insane mayors. I don't know if you guys have done any stories about Francis Suarez, Miami's the beautiful city of Miami's mayor. Have you ever looked into him at all? He's pretty hilarious.
Not a ton. I mean, I know he's running for president,
yes.
right?
Yeah,
as a Republican.
Yes.
But no one's heard anything about it. It's just a way to make money or something.
Yeah, it's just a way to make money, but he was kind of like the crypto mayor, and he was gonna like he said this thing on Fox News where people weren't gonna have to pay taxes in Miami because like this crypto coin was gonna generate all the return, and that was gonna pay their taxes. And of course, like seconds later, the thing like crashes and is totally worthless. But he's just so wacky that it's like, it's the same kind of like Eric Adams thing, where it's just like, how, like literally, I think when I watch this, like I could be like run for, and whoever's watching this right now, run for mayor. Like you would probably be a more reasonable mayor than, or whatever,
right.
any official than a lot of these kooks. It's crazy.
Totally.
Okay, I'll ask you a couple more stupid questions and maybe some quick listener questions. Best sport to watch in person?
Ice hockey.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
Look,
you're Rangers
my favorite's
fan,
football.
Right?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
It just in terms of like disparity between football's better to watch on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball, I think it's the same experience either way. So like, but just the disparity between hockey and in person and on TV is massive. And like, why you guys should go see a hockey game in your local area, wherever you're watching this. There's 3 20-minute periods. There's like a 17-minute intermission in between each of those periods. So you can go and get like a beer or food. And
pretzel.
It's just so much easier to see like the players setting up a play and the puck and where it relates to it than when you first start watching on TV, where I think like my mom was like, I want to get into it, but I can't see the puck, Emma. I wish there was a circle around it. I'm like, they tried that. No one liked it. You get to, once you know the sport, you understand where the players are positioned, and then you can kind of find the puck that way. But it's better to start in person.
Absolutely. One of my, I think hockey's my favorite too, because one of my earliest memories was my uncle. He was a Whalers fan when the Whalers still existed. We went to go see Whalers play the Panthers, and he almost got into a fight with somebody, and I was like, wow.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, hockey's very bad. Because some dude was like yelling at the guys on the bench or whatever.
Did you grow up in Florida?
Yeah. I grew up in Miami, actually. That's why part of my obsession with Francis Suarez, the great mayor of Miami.
Suarez.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, now the Whalers, the Carolina Hurricanes, and they're actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
Panthers pretty good too.
Well, that was an amazing story.
Oh yeah.
Too bad Kachuk couldn't finish it out, but a broken sternum is probably something you shouldn't play through.
Okay, I'm gonna check right now how many people have left. Okay, all of them.
I'm sorry, I'm shutting up. But...
That's okay. Yeah. Okay. So going along with. Okay. Yes. Actually, I did want to ask you this. I was looking into because I know you've talked a lot about the abortion situation in America, in the United States, and I was looking into this, and like there's kind of like an analysis of, have abortions gone down, how much have they gone down, what's the real effect of this a year later, and they haven't really gone down. I mean, they as a whole, people are leaving, or they're ordering pills, from my understanding. You correct me if I'm wrong, but the absolute poorest people in society and in these states where it's getting banned, they're having a really, it's just like throwing their lives off very seriously.
Absolutely. I mean, think logistically about what it would take to go to a different state.
Yeah.
And say you're in Mississippi. Where's the closest? My geography is terrible, but this isn't Nevada and California, right? Or this isn't, I know that Missouri and Kansas, right? Like, I'm pretty sure, I don't think Missouri has a ban yet. Don't quote me on this. It's really hard to keep track, to be honest with you. But you understand what I'm saying. I mean, the cost of travel, the amount of pre-planning that would need, especially if you work a minimum wage job. I mean, how are you going to take that off?
Yeah.
To go and get an abortion. I mean, it's just, that this was always going to primarily affect young or poorer people, and it just, that's what conservatives are like this with gay marriage too, mm-hmm. right? It's just, my kid's gay, all right, well, they'll be all right. Mm-hmm. They'll be all right. My kid needs an abortion, well, they'll be all right, right?
Yes.
And we'll figure something out. And so that's why, at least from the Republican politician standpoint, they're hypocrisy doesn't faze them.
Yeah, and it's a very every man for himself. It's a kind of this thing in society that just makes it worse and harder for everybody. But it kind of I don't know if you talked about this with Tim Pool on the stream that you went on, but he did get into some debate where it's kind of a classic sketchy little debate move where you push the argument into like a specific area that's going to appeal to your audience, and it was all about late-term abortion and all this, and it's kind of, I don't know, it strikes me as a little ironic that if you were really concerned about that, you would look at where most abortions take place, which is very early on, and you would focus on that, and you would say, how can we make sure that that's easy to access and safe and the stuff that's going on in these states is making that less likely. Like, that's pretty much all it's doing in my estimate.
That's the point. Is when you don't make it a right, you open it up to case by case, and when I said this on Tim Pool, right, when he was trying to think of, or when I called him out on calling that story about the 10-year-old who had to get an abortion, he called it a hoax, and then said,
Right.
"No, I just said it was a hoax because it was being used as a political
Yeah,
hoax by Democrats."
he had to do a little bit of he had to
It
do
was
a little bit of acrobatics on that one. That was hilarious.
it was weak sauce, to put it mildly,
Oh,
but
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, 90% of abortions happen in the first 12 weeks, which is the first trimester. The
Mhm.
rest, like, overwhelmingly happen after that, and then the small 1 or 2% that happen later on, those are when the life of the mother is in danger, the fetus is in danger, or dead, or like having extreme issues and will be born dead. And what these abortion bans essentially do is like, no, you, person who can get pregnant, you were an imperfect vessel. You must have done something wrong because
Right.
God would not punish you in this way. So you have to be punished and you have to give birth to that baby, and or that fetus, right? And so in the end, it really is just about fundamentalism. And even if Tim and others like that don't identify themselves in that way, that's what they are serving. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know, I just wanted to get your I know you've talked about this, but like the tell me if I'm wrong about this. The Supreme Court decision on affirmative action, meaning kind of like in a way kind of stupid, because it's like that I think you actually read this on the show, that Roberts put in something about how you can write in an essay about how race has affected your life. What do you like, honestly, what is this? What's going on? Like, what, the Supreme Court, obviously, like a historically disgusting and a regressive institution. They've done everything in their power always to crush normal people who have real jobs and all this stuff. What do you make of this? Like, because it seems just largely stupid to me.
I think that conservative groups have immense influence over every conservative member of the court. It falls on a spectrum.
Yeah.
In terms of who's most responsive to the massively well-funded right-wing dark money groups, or whether it be the Federalist Society, what have you. And this has been on their agenda for quite a while. It's an effort to keep certain institutions pristine, white, and like upper class vehicles for class stabilization. It's the same reason that they overturned the student debt, the student debt cancellation. They kind of go hand in hand, which is that education via universities and colleges, in their mind, should not be a vehicle for advancement for either Black people, Indigenous people, Latina people, or in the case of people who hold a lot of student debt, people who need to take out a bunch of loans. That they will then have that albatross, because even if they are able to go and do 4 years at an elite university, they'll have to move into professions that serve capitalism in such a way that they get paid enough to pay down those loans. Like, why would somebody who has, I don't know, $300,000 of debt from college and law school go to be a public defender when they could go and work at a corporate law firm and pay that off a lot more easily?
Right.
It's a disciplinary tool on that end. And for affirmative action, like it's a disciplinary tool for non-white people, where it's like, we're going to spit in your face and essentially say that context is not going to be allowed in the way that we look at racial issues in the context of admissions. And so it's an effort to preserve these, I think, primarily preserve these elite institutions for the legacy admissions and the people who have always gone to those places. And the right is very concerned about education being emancipatory, and I think this is part of that.
Oh yeah, totally. Like the I don't know, a lot of what you hear from a lot of these right wingers is like, it's because, and at the same time they talk about freedom all the time too, and America is a symbol of freedom, when it's like, even obviously, like, you know, I mean, even with things like the family, like, oh, you need a specific kind of family in order to succeed in life. You know what I mean? A heterosexual, nuclear family, you know, whatever. And it's like, that's one of the most basic types of freedom, is to form your own, what your own social relationships are. And people have done this throughout history of trying to experiment with their living situation and their romantic relationships and their friendships and da-da-da-da. It's so, I don't see how people don't see how not free a lot of these ideas are.
Right. I mean, that when they talk about freedom, it really just means freedom for the wealthy and powerful and capitalists to crush you if they so choose, whether it be through unfair labor practices, wage theft, low wages, cuts to your benefits, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, in your home state of Texas right now, Abbott just signed into law a bill, or did some action where he overturned city efforts to mandate water breaks every 4 hours for construction workers, which is largely migrant people, and every 4 in Texas in the summer.
It's insane.
It's barbaric.
Yeah. It's insane. They're trying to take it back to like old, like kids in coal mines type of stuff. Okay, so we're gonna
child labor.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna wrap this up in a couple seconds. I just want to do a real rapid fire listener questions thing.
Yeah, I talked too much. My bad. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you blew it.
I know.
Okay, Maxwell asks, sports question for Emma. Oh, I'm sure this is going to get really deep into sports. Would you rather watch football played with a basketball or basketball played with a football? I think I think I know.
You couldn't dribble, so you could still throw a basketball or football played with basketball.
You rather do football played with basketball? But you
could still throw the basketball. You can't dribble the football.
Yeah, but I'm saying that would be the whole point. It would be hilarious. It would be a total.
It would be just rugby.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it probably would just be rugby. Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
It would be. Okay. Ask Emma if she misses her old beat covering Trump rallies, or if she's happy.
No.
Okay.
Well, look, I mean, it was good, and there's an energy, there's like a rush sometimes when you do that kind of stuff. But like,
we get it now. I feel like we get it.
I was by myself, you know, and we'd have a freelance camera person in each of the cities, but it was a lonely thing to do by yourself. And I don't know if I was the nicest person I've ever been to like my boyfriend at that time and my loved ones, because I was just pretty stressed. It was one a week, and it was a lot of bad energy to take on, I'll be honest.
You weren't like hanging out with them. You weren't like, oh, these people got some points. There's some.
And
some
like,
cool
honestly,
people here.
it was just. It was also often in very like obscure, not obscure, but it was hard locations to get to by air travel. So I would have to take 2 connections in some instances.
God.
It was just, and I was by myself, so it was tough. Yeah.
Were there like a lot of Mimas and Peepaws there? Were a lot of like older people there, or is it like a mix?
It was a mix. I mean, to be honest with you, all the cities kind of blended together.
Right. Okay, another thing from Ryshell. We just got a couple more here. Ryshell says, I don't have any questions for Emma, but if you could relay my gratitude as a trans person for advocacy and vocal support
Thank you.
for us at the time we're feeling very alone. Thanks. The shout out to Ryshell.
That's very kind. Thank you.
Bill says, I wonder if Emma has any regrets going on Tim Pool.
No.
Emma, would you... Emma, who would win in an oiled up cage match, Sam Cedar or Matt Leck?
Oh man. Well, look, Matt is taller. Okay.
Oh, Matt's tall, huh?
Matt's probably 6'2", 6'3".
Wow.
I think Sam's like 5'11".
Okay.
I can't answer this. I mean,
okay, moving on.
I'll go with Matt because he's younger.
Okay. Right.
And also, like, I know, Matt plays basketball and stuff. Sam plays softball.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm good. And Sam has a bad back, so I'm going with Matt.
Well, Sam,
And
maybe Sam has kids too, so maybe he has like he's a little bit more worn out, you know.
I'm feeling almost bad for hesitating so much. It's Matt.
It's Matt. So
Yeah.
shout out to Matt on that one.
Yeah.
And then they also ask, have you ever been to Lucky 13s in Gowanus? They do heavy metal karaoke. Would you do?
No.
Okay, no heavy. Nope. Sorry, she's not gonna
I'm
do.
sorry. I'm kind of square, you know, like in that way. I'm not like Binder is so punk, and like I don't have edgy music taste or anything like that.
So are you anti?
I'm a normie.
Are you anti karaoke? If there's some like birthday party, you're gonna be kind of like, they're gonna be nagging you to get up. You're ruining the party, and you won't do it. That kind of thing.
No, I'll do it. But I sang in high school a little bit. I have an okay voice, but I just don't love karaoke, but
Yeah.
I'm in a very close-knit friend group with like 3 other people from college, and we're split on this. I'm in the anti, and my two other friends freaking love it so much. And so when I go with them, it's fun.
Well, let's say to the people of the world out there, if you like karaoke, good, we'll all go with you, but don't try to force people who don't want to do it. Don't make them feel bad. That's the worst. Oh, you have to feel bad because you're just like having a drink, calm down.
Right.
Calm down, you karaoke lunatics. Okay,
Exactly.
final question. Somebody wants to know how to avoid, doomerism and feeling too negative. I think there's a lot of hopeful stuff. I mean, that's just my personal thing. I think it's pretty hopeful, but I don't know. Yeah, what do you think?
I mean, I don't know. If you're always fighting, it's hard to stay doomer for a while. Like today was one of the hardest first halves we've had in a while for me in terms of not feeling doomerish, because it was we had Bill McKibben on for climate change, and then we had a Palestinian reporter speaking about the destruction of his community. And so like
tough.
Those 2 issues in particular, it's like I feel like it's if you're really animated about climate change, which you should be, and Israel-Palestine and Israeli apartheid, which I think you should be, those are 2 of the most unresponsive like action items in relationship to our government. I mean, there's no seemingly progress on making aid to Israel conditional.
Yep.
Climate change, very similar. We're at least, some of what Biden did in terms of those tax credits and that is going to be helping on the margins, but still not enough. So, but then you move on to the next thing, right? The next fight. The next fight is always what makes me not slip into doomerism. And I do have faith in our ideas winning in the end.
Yeah. So. Absolutely. Well, Emma, thank you so much for doing this. It's always great to listen to you on the Majority Report, and thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks so much for having me on, and we'll do it again sometime soon.
Absolutely. Talk to you later.
All right, later.
Bye. Emma Vigeland, ladies and gentlemen. Emma, the great Emma Vigeland. Should I just stay small down like this? Maybe we'll take a few discords. I should. God damn it. I didn't even open the Discord thing.
Generally speaking, Chinese people look Chinese.
Okay, Joe, it's not the time for that right now.
Oh!
So get in Discord if you have any questions. What are people saying? What are people saying in the chat here? Huh? Oh my god. Somebody says smallaroon. Queen Emma. Oh, thanks so much. Thanks so much for the 10 bones. Redolent thought. Where is it? Oh, god damn it. I gotta get this one right. My dad came to visit for a few weeks. We went out. We out on TMR, and he says, I love the Majority Report. Emma kicks ass, and I loved that my 71-year-old dad New, what was up? We're from Vermont. Bernard's your guy. Oh, wow. Nice one from Redolent Thought there. Okay, let's see if we can see if there's anybody in the Discord. See if there's anybody in the goddamn Discord. Okay, we got a few. Maybe we'll take a couple. Let's see. There's a guy called a Crystal Flute. A Crystal Flute, are you there? This person's name is... All these drops are all messed up. Are you there, Crystal Flute?
It's Mary Kate, and yeah, I'm here.
Oh, Mary Kate. Mary Kate.
A crystal flute.
What's up, Mary Kate? What's going on? What's up, Mary Kate?
You know, not much. I didn't think you were going to pick me, so I didn't come with my list of prepared questions. So you're going to have to come up with the topic. But I do want to say to some people in chat,
Cut the crap. That's what we have to say to them, right?
yeah, you got to be normal when women come on, because some of you guys are saying some weird shit, and that's not going to fly, okay? I will ban your ass. So please be
Were they were what, saying pervert stuff about Emma?
Oh, yeah, really weird stuff.
You, god damn it. They're going Jonah Hill on Emma. Dude, guys, come on, guys. All right, Mary Kate.
Oh, yeah.
Mary Kate will ban an ass, right?
Yes, that's actually a good thing to talk about, because I was curious about your take on it, because I've seen some people like Hassan. I actually completely disagreed with his take on it. He was saying like, oh, it's just, he's just insecure, but it's not abuse. You guys overuse the word abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And while I do think the internet tends to overuse the word abuse, what he was doing was like textbook emotional abuse, like social isolation and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I was curious about your take on that whole situation and the discourse it sparked.
I don't know. I was trying to figure it out. I was kind of like listening to what other people were saying, but I think Emma, like the thing that I'm thinking about most right now is the point that Emma made, which I didn't even think about, which is that if you're, like endlessly wealthy, people are going to kind of just support whatever you say. And I think there is something to that this therapist or whatever that this guy has. And look, maybe we're just talking, I feel a little bad, like isolating, making this like individual judgment or whatever, but yeah, this idea of the therapist, instead of saying like, hey, let's find a way out of this sort of like manipulation or control or whatever it is, let's find a way out of this. It's more like enabling what you're already doing is like, that's kind of a crazy thing, that's kind of a weird like thing that having a lot of money will like freeze you in or something,
Yeah, like I think it's easy to underestimate the power you have when you're that famous and that wealthy, and like the way that people will talk to you and behave towards you because of that. Because like in reality, you have the capacity, at least the potential, to be able to like sue the ass of anyone who pisses you off when it comes down to it. So
yeah,
it definitely changes things, I think.
Well, I mean, look, maybe we can take something, we can look at that and be like, well, that's an example of, a place you don't want to go, a place you don't want to, even if it's like, maybe I need to not be in a relationship for a while to like figure out what I'm doing here and why I'm doing this, and to avoid it, maybe we could take that out of it, right?
Yeah. Oh, and something I did find funny about all that was Candace Owens, of course, jumped to Jonah Hill's defense on Twitter,
yeah,
saying, oh my God, he's just a normal guy and he just doesn't want to date a whore or whatever. But like when Steven Crowder, because Steven Crowder is like her personal enemy, when he's like yelling at his wife and doing a lot of similar stuff, she's like, oh, he's a disgusting monster. But like, then when it's a guy who's not her mortal enemy, suddenly it's like,
Yeah, that's such a good. That's such a funny point, Mary Kate. Holy moly! Yeah, it seems a little conditional. It seems a little sort of like when you're just telling your audience what they got to hear. You're gonna do that. You know, when you're taking your little stupid political side, you got to do that. But when it's your enemy who's threatening your money, you know, or like saying something bad about your boss's company or whatever, then you're gonna really get their ass. You know, that's that's great, Mary Kate. Nice for catching that. Good on you.
Truly, and thank you also for just making us aware of the pizza oven crisis in New York. I mean, I've started going door to door personally, like, I'm petitioning. I've started just throwing pizza, not only at government buildings, but just at random homes.
Yes.
I think to spread awareness.
Yes.
I think we should, like the Breaking Bad, like the lady who used to own the Breaking Bad house. And because of that scene where Walter like throws a pizza on the roof, people would just drive to her house and throw pizza on her roof. I think we should just start doing that all over, not only the city of New York, but just the country to spread awareness. I think that's a good move to spread awareness about this very vital issue in our country right now.
Okay, so yeah, I'm proud to make this announcement. There's still a lot of people here to who wanted to hear Emma. So I want to use this to platform a new project me and Mary Kate are working on, which is throwing pizza at buildings and on buildings across America. We're gonna start different chapters in different cities and states, right, Mary Kate, of throwing pizza at things.
And we can do like different, whatever your preferences are. Like we can have like a vegan pizza chapter,
right?
A gluten-free pizza chapter, a Hawaiian pizza chapter. We're gonna spread it out so everyone has their own little section where they can throw pizza on people.
Well, Mary Kate, thank you for bringing awareness to this issue. We're gonna work on this, and we should have really locked Emma into this, right? Like you're part of this movement, right, Emma? It is a movement, and it is a movement. And we really would have captured her if she's she's under the hot light of all these people watching. She would have had to commit to it. So we blew it, but we'll invite her back, and we'll just do that the whole time. All right.
We'll make up for it with our activism for sure.
All right. Well, there we go. There we go, Mary Kate, ladies and gentlemen, always.
Give us pizza or give us death. New York City is nothing without pizza.
Well, guys, New York City is nothing without pizza. And this show is nothing without your support. I don't even know where I was going with that. But, guys, thank you so much for watching. That was great. I'm so glad Emma came on. She's cool, and all you guys are cool. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later, and bye.